Welcome to the Business After Hours, where the ties loosen, the suit relax, and we talk business without the boardroom. Grab your favorite drink, kick back, and let's dive into the world of business after hours.
All right. Welcome back to the Business After Hours podcast here with myself and our co-host Jared and our guest Kevin. How you gentlemen doing today?
Doing amazing, man. Happy to be here.
Yes.
Enjoying the
same
weather. Enjoying the weather. It's like 70s here, so it's like that perfect,
Did it cool down in Georgia too, Kevin?
Oh yes, it's pretty cool here, man. It's weird because it should be fallish wintertime and it's t-shirt weather.
It's nice, isn't it?
It's nice, man. It's nice.
Especially after them hot summers down there in the South like that.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like
You have
Jared
those
Lowe.
mosquitoes that just carry you away, man, when it's hot.
Ain't that the
Good
truth?
way to put it. Good way to put it.
Yeah, man.
So Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and where up until your company that you've launched.
Yeah, no, great question. So my background started off in the military, U.S. Army, 6 years there, deployed to Iraq. While I was there, did some time in theater, and then jumped over to the Air Force National Guard, fought fires, out there to about 2018, to about 13 years, and then in the background, given I was National Guard, spent some time at SpaceX, launched their flight module logistics department, did that for about 4 years. And then jumped over to Northrop Grumman, where I served on the F-35 program as a weapon bay door engineer and a program manager for about a year and some change before jumping right back into the startup world. And spent a lot of time there. So worked at some startups named Romeo Power, XOS Trucks, Canoe, and then Harley Davidson did a startup with an e-bike called Serial One, where I led all those companies in a capacity, either vice president of logistics or operations or supply chain manufacturing and industrialization. It's mostly my background. And then, then launched GLID, our new autonomous road to rail solution in 2022, because I really wanted to make a difference and what I saw in the logistics community, as well as, make something cool, man. We're building transformers to help people out with their logistics needs now, and creating jobs, the upskilled dock workers and, port adjacent folks today, for tomorrow's problems.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, when we talk about logistics, we obviously know about the shutdown of the ports with the strikes and everything. Tell us a little bit about that, like from your angle of things. I mean, we don't have to obviously get politically involved in it, but just what it looked like from your side of things, since this is your expertise.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, first it was heartbreaking, right? I guess, what led up to that, just, folks not being paid what they should be paid. The other piece was, the education piece. What is semi-automation? What is automation? How can it benefit our nation? As the rest of the world leapfrogs, America, you look at China and Rotterdam over in Amsterdam, and how efficient, their ports are, and how to utilize goods. Utilize that technology to ship their goods, and how it can be transformational here in the United States if we applied it the correct way. And I felt it was sad because it's not applied the correct way. Folks aren't educated in regards to what semi-automation and automation is and how it can benefit their communities. One study that I read was the ILA, which shut down the ports. 70% of that community lives port adjacent, and works at the port as well. Well, COVID happened, and all these folks and their families were really impacted by the pollution that the ports have, through their operations. So if they implemented a technology, like ours, or other technologies that are semi-automated or fully automated, they can, for one, improve their livability because they're de-risking their jobs. For two, they're bringing down the carbon emissions and the pollution impact on their lives every single day. So for me, looking at it, I was like, man, it's a win-win if you adopt it, because one, you're now stepping into technological jobs, right? That's going to pay you more. It's going to get you home safe every single day. And then, the next step is you're going to be cranking stuff out at the ports much faster, feeding America instead of, really hampering America. Because looking at the numbers, it looked like it costs America like $4 billion a day, for all those ports to be shut down. And it's like it doesn't help anybody. Those same folks that were striking has to buy eggs. you know,
Yeah.
you know, where's where those losses coming from is coming from, just those strikes and stuff like that. So that's my 2 cents on it.
So I know that the fear was automation. Why shouldn't they be scared of automation?
Yeah, I don't feel they should be afraid because it creates new opportunities for them. If you look at, the blue collar market right now, especially the port workers, if you look at the dock workers and the material handlers, the truck drivers, they're aging workforce. They're not having their kids at home say, yeah, I'm lining up to put on a hard hat and go to the ports. Now these folks want to work in AI, they want to work in engineering, they want to work in new technologies. So when their kids are sent out and they have these new jobs, who's going to work the ports, right? When they're retiring and everything else. So I feel, if they adopted automation, if they're educated on automation, if they applied, some upskilling programs, the make it more attractive, make it more sexy. What they're doing is safeguarding those jobs, and working next to robots.
Right.
And it's that human in the loop, and that's what we focus on at GLID is having a human always there in a loop somehow. You may not be doing all of the material handling, driving a forklift or driving a truck, physically, but you can be sitting at home, driving a truck or multiple trucks or driving a train from your desk, right? Or monitoring these autonomous systems to make sure that they check out from a safe place, while these things pump out things at speeds you've never seen before. And that's my view.
You trust the robots?
Yes and no. That's why I think that
I mean, have we not seen the movies?
yeah.
iRobot and
Transformer, no,
right.
Terminator.
Terminator.
It never works out for us.
It never works out. And that's what I say, human in the loop. You got a human that controls it and say, you know what? No, this is wrong. I'm stopping and I'm stepping in. Right.
Okay.
It's like, when you play that video game and you got the autopilot, even not even video games. If you look at a airplane, you got an autopilot button that you hit, and that pilot, sits back, drinks his coffee, and the plane is doing his thing because it's nominal, flying, hey, nothing's changing. But when he feels, things being a little bit shaky, he takes it off that autopilot and he takes back the control. But I think, that within that, analogy, that pilot is in control the entire time. That person is pushing the button for the autopilot. That person is taking the autopilot back and piloting the plane. So I think for autonomous or semi-autonomous technology, you have to have that same exact power, for a human machine interaction.
What about like safety? Obviously safety is a big part of this, and so does this help with safety because it reduces the number, or is there still some of those risks that come with that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Jared. So I feel safety is actually increased. Plugging in, the technology, autonomous technology. For one, you take humans out of that a dangerous operation. I'm going to give you an example. We're looking to streamline the transload process. So the transload is essentially when you take a container that weighs about 40,000 pounds and you move it with either a crane or a forklift that's powered by a human, right? And then you put it onto a train, and then that human needs to lash everything down. So you have a human that's driving that forklift, and that forklift goes teeter-tottered, right? And we've seen it all the time. That person's going for a ride, with that load, if that load is shifting, whatever it may be, and that person that's waiting next to that train, to shackle everything down, that person is the first victim, to that instance. So that's one way you can improve the safety by taking those humans out of that equation and pulling them away from that operation where they can see it from a safe distance, manage it from a safe distance, and still be more accurate and efficient. The other piece is long hours, right? You can still get your overtime and stuff like that, but when you have a person on the ground, and we all know fatigue, military folks,
No, you're right.
You're good up to a certain number of hours, and then once you blow past it, your cognitive stuff shuts off. You're on autopilot. Sometimes autopilot doesn't mean you do the safest stuff. So that's the other piece where I think that lower the hours, and as well as take folks out of dangerous operations to improve their quality of life.
With that, like some of the automation, what about the delay, from the time that it takes, the user to stop, for example, for it to get to the machine and actually, stop?
Oh, gotcha. Wait, for now, based on the technology we have, man, it's almost instantaneous. There's no latency between whether I pushed a button from China, that operates something in the United States, is as quick as an email,
Right.
right? There's no real delay that I've seen, but however, there's that risk too, right? There's times where our internet can fail us, our Wi-Fi can fail us, and it's our job as innovators to put in layers to ensure that that doesn't happen. Are we doing a Wi-Fi plus a cell phone signal plus a GPS, whatever it may be? Are we lining these things up to make sure we have redundancy steps to ensure we don't have that catastrophic failure? Because I agree, if something goes wrong and communication is shut out and you're pushing that button and nothing's happening, that robot is left to its own, things.
So how is automation and the robots and whatnot because affect jobs? Because we see like there's some McDonald's that have zero humans in them now,
Yeah,
and we as people see that and going, well, those are low income jobs.
yeah.
Obviously, the port jobs are higher income jobs, and
Hmm.
obviously that's what they were fearful of is losing their job
Yeah.
to automation or robots or whatever the case may be. How much will it impact jobs?
I think I think it'll impact it a lot. To be completely transparent, and I feel that needs to be pushed back on to folks like us, like CEOs, company owners, to say, how do you get humans back into this fight, right? How do you ensure that they're included in this fight? Like, our thing is to upskill workers, right? We have a LMS system, which is a learning management system, where we go in to communities, disadvantaged, marginalized communities that typically will go, work at McDonald's or go work at, some of these lower paying, jobs until they can, get some sort of education or trade school to go work at the ports. Well, we want to go directly to these folks, provide them with the curriculum and education that they need, like the military did for Jared and I, and pay them for it. Right now, you have folks without, high school or college education that have these new technological jobs, that are saying, hey, you know what? I don't need to work at McDonald's as a dude that's frying. I'm working at McDonald's programming these robots, right? I don't need to work at the port moving this pallet. I'm the person that fixes the robot that moves this pallet, or I'm the person that reprograms this thing to do it. I don't think a lot of new technological companies focus on ensuring that folks have those capabilities at their hands. They push folks aside and say, you got to have this degree in order to do this. You have to have
Right.
this education to do that. No, forget that. Give the people that, arm them with the things that they need to be dangerous, right? And then deploy them the way it needs to be. And I think that's where the gap is for our labor shortages. We put too much attention on folks that are higher educated, and not enough attention on folks that are readily available but need the opportunity in order for them to be impactful.
It's true.
We definitely had a conversation like that many times on these podcasts, so definitely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, tell us about your company. What are you launching? And what does it do? How does it benefit? Tell us everything.
Yeah, no, totally. So we at GLID, we have the world's first patented road to rail solution. We're essentially a material conveyance in a box. What our gliders can do is traverse both road and rail. We do it, fully autonomous with humans in the loop. So essentially, one human driver is behind the wheel, and that human driver controls four vehicles, at a time. What we do is we streamline that transload process that typically has 5 to 6 pieces of equipment and like 7 operators that are exposed within that environment, and we bring it down to one person operating 4 pieces, streamlining it, and then reducing the cost down for folks like us, so that our eggs are $3 instead of $15.
Right.
The other piece of our technology, and we spoke a little bit about it, is our LMS software we're calling Ezra 1.6, and that's a verse out of the Bible, and is essentially is a parable to how the Israelites had to go in and build the temple back up after it was destroyed. Folks within the community came together to build their temple.
Right.
So we at GLIDE, we see the community putting into this technology in order to deploy it for us here in America to make us, to reindustrialize what we're good at before. Another great thing about our technology is we have the ability to inspect our substrate. So we have track inspection and road inspection as well. And that comes in handy for identifying potholes. And then when you're on the rails, it keeps us from derailing, which is a big issue here in the United States. There's 3 derailments per day within the US that a lot of folks don't talk about.
No.
But
I didn't
it's a
know it was that
multi-billion-dollar business. Oh, what's up, brother?
I said I didn't know it was that much.
Yeah, so it's a lot, man. It's like a $6 billion business in the US.
Train
Picking
wrecks?
up trains. Yep.
We're in the wrong business. We're in the wrong business.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we have that technology to safeguard it. And then what we do is as we, pick up the load and navigate the road and rail, we inspect everything to make sure folks are safe. And then we sell that information back, to the railroads, to the DOT, so that they can do preventative maintenance, so that, folks that don't have our capabilities can traverse it safely. So that's us in a nutshell.
What has been like your biggest struggle with getting this company off the ground and that?
Yeah, fundraising has been the toughest piece. We launched a company in probably the worst worst times to launch it, especially for hardware. Right now, folks are really investing in AI and software, not taking a big bet on hardware, especially hardware that's in the rail space, because the rail space is very nichey and nuanced. There's not a lot of new folks, new interests in it right now. There's maybe 3 companies, us, Parallel Systems, and Intramotive, looking to change the way we do things, nationally. And, none of us are really, cracking that code, just because rail is its own entity here in the US. Whereas if you look at other countries or other continents, you look at Europe, it's easy to, unlock those gates because they have a great integrated rail system. Whereas in the US, we have, each piece of rail is independently owned, privately owned, not even governed by, the federal government. Is governed by itself. The federal government comes in and says, "Can I get a seat?" And they're like, "Yeah, you can sit down." But we're going to agree on what it is, whereas like the roads is governed by the DOT. So, navigating that has been tough as well. Great question.
Wow.
So are you more of a hardware company or a software company or both?
Yeah, we're both. We say we're mobility as a service. So our hardware is cool, to be able to, streamline some of those material conveyance and then offer folks a new innovative way to actually move. You don't have to buy a truck. You don't have to buy a train. We're both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
If you look at, just how that's positioned in underdeveloped communities or communities that, don't have the funding to buy a truck and a train, that's very economical to just invest in one vehicle, right? But our overarching is that our software piece, to be able to look at all the data analytics, to be able to optimize routes, be able to optimize, the load in order to bring the cost down as low as it can be for our customers is our biggest thing. And then, of course, our icing on the cake is our learning management system to upskill folks. So
now, is this something that could be like transposed into other fields like FedEx, UPS, USPS, and all that stuff?
Oh yeah. One thing I like to tell folks is we consider ourselves the future of transportation. So instead of saying ship it, we say glide it, right? We want to get to a point where you're like, hey man, just glide it. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to be faster. It's going to be safer for all of us. They're all about the community. They're veterans.
Right.
We want to get to a point where, we are the new FedEx. We are the new UPS. We are the new Uber. We have a passenger vehicle play that we're looking at as well. For congestion, right? Imagine if you can shift congestion over from the road over to the rail that are a lot of the times it's not even occupied. So that's our biggest thing, to be a company that just moves people and things very, very efficiently and effectively. So
would you be a competitor to Tesla because of their robots and all their automation that they're doing too? Or would you consider yourself more of a competitor to Tesla or like alongside?
I think we'll be alongside of them. Tesla's they just sell hardware. They're OEM.
Okay.
We wouldn't sell our product. We would be the owner operator
Okay.
for our product. So, our business model is pretty simple. We charge customers $25,000 a month, $300,000 a year to utilize our whole suite of services. And then as a transport provider, we charge folks a cost per ton mile that is way underneath the current ton mileage. For example, we're charging 50 cents per ton mile for a container. If you did the math for a 40,000 pound container, you're shipping that container for $150, right? From within a 50-mile radius. If you look at what folks are being charged right now, that's like $5,500 to ship
Correct.
one container within a 50-mile
Right.
radius. So if you go back a decade ago, shipping a container within 50 miles used to cost you $150. Your right size and your eggs. I keep on bringing up eggs. I went to Sprouts and I spent $15 on a dozen
Sucks,
eggs.
doesn't
It's crazy,
Still sticker
get back.
shock.
Yes. But you get back to the point where things cost the way it's supposed to cost, right? And that's our biggest thing. Ship it where it's fair. We make money, and folks are spending the money they should on things.
So you're trying to take over even like shipping trucks.
You got it. You got it.
Wow.
Or be a part of them. My thing is augment slowly as folks start to retire, as some of these green initiatives come into play, and folks have to start recycling their trucks and their trains and stuff like that. We want to be that natural selection where it's like, man, I don't have to spend millions of dollars on things. These guys are taking away all my capital expenses. That I don't have to focus on all my operational expenses. I just got to pay these guys like they're Netflix, to do the things that I need them to do, and I'm making money, right? Because part of our model as well is, say we are shipping, say you're a trucking company, and your whole business is drayage. We make that 50 cents per ton mile, and say your business model is $3 per ton mile. Well, we take that delta away, and we give you the rest. Right. So you're not buying new equipment, you're not hiring new workers, right? You're not even employing new folks, but you're hiring us as your subscription, folks, and we're paying you, to utilize our services.
Are you still raising money? Like, have you guys officially launched, or are you still in
Yeah.
the raising money phase?
We're always going to be raising money for the rest of our lives, I feel. But yeah, we're still raising money. We're in the process of raising a pre-seed round of $2 million. So far, we've raised about $500,000 of that.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
What's the goal?
Our goal is to raise $2 million and close that out by spring next year, and then we'll immediately go into another round. Will be our seed round for $5 million. That should give us about 2 to 3 years of runway and be able to provide us with product to give to some of our customers that we have POs with right now.
When do you expect to launch?
God willing, we look to launch in the summer of next year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work ahead of you, but
Yes.
it's awesome. I love
Yeah,
seeing
thank
it. Especially from, and no disrespect at all, from a grunt like we
Yes.
are. Make your
Yes.
way to the top. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
it is good because it's very hard to break into something like that, to what you're doing.
Mhm.
And be taken serious, because we're not millionaires and billionaires, at least we're not.
Yeah, well, I'm not
and
either.
so to have the
I need to check my bank account first. I'm just kidding.
So no, I mean,
still broke.
kudos to you, because that's it's extremely hard for people like us to break into,
Yeah.
and to raise the money that you're raising and have raised. It's awesome hearing that, and honestly changed my mind a little bit, because I didn't know. I figured once automation came in, it would be like McDonald's that doesn't have a human in there, and
Yep.
and fully automation, and that's what I had been fearing for myself, obviously, and my kids and everything else. That, like, man,
Yeah.
what are they going to do? Like,
Yep.
what? Like, my wife's a nurse. What if they bring automation into there? What's going to happen? Like,
Yeah. No, totally, man. And thank your wife for her service. And I think that those are real fears, man. And I think it goes back to, what I was saying. These CEOs, these corporations need to put humans first, right? I mean,
100%.
they look at the bill and they're like, hey, you know what? I can spend this much on a robot and I can cut out all these jobs. Look at it differently, right? Look at it as, I can enable these folks to be more, to do more, right? You don't look at it as just these check boxes and numbers, like I love the fact you say I'm a grunt. I started from the bottom, joined the military, enlisted, and it worked my way.
Yeah.
Even in these companies, started at the bottom as well, and worked my way through them as well. And I feel for the most part, 95% of us in the world work there. Start there and work our way up. So I believe we all need to remember where we come from, or where our parents came from. If
Correct.
we we're a trust baby, and put those same philosophies into the things that we're trying to push out to the world in regards to automation. Don't replace jobs. If you replace it, if you replace a human, put a human, in another place.
It's a good point.
Right,
That's
within your
good.
operation. Yep.
And I think if people knew that, I think that they would embrace automation. If they knew that they wouldn't be replaced. I think that's obviously the fear when you hear of self-driving vehicles and manless vehicles for doing taxis and stuff in the future, like where all the taxi drivers are going to go. Like,
oh yeah.
So there's a lot of unknown that obviously scares a lot of people, which is like what we discussed at the very beginning with that strike, is that people are just fearful of what they don't know and where we're headed, because we don't know. And it's moving quick.
No, exactly.
I mean, if you think about it, computers, internet, we were fearful of that when that first got introduced, right? You know what I mean? And so I think it's just kind of that human nature that we're naturally scared of change, right? And so
especially
trying
the unknown.
Embracing
it is important, right? So,
well, if you are a trust fund baby and you have some money, please invest in Kevin's company.
Please.
I don't think you'll regret it at all, honestly. After hearing everything that you've had to say today, like I wish I had the funds to invest in you, honestly.
Thanks, Jeff.
I think it could be something good. So we are going to put his link down below in the description so that you guys can contact him. I know all his contact information is on his website. And then that way, if you want to be an investor or have questions or whatnot, I'm sure he'd be glad to answer them. And we'd love having you on today, Kevin.
I appreciate being on, man. You folks, both of you guys, man, are heaven sent. And let's definitely stay in touch, because we're all fighting the same battle, man. Whether on the battlefield or just walking through life together. I'd
love to have you on right before you're launching too. Like, honestly, and
yes, absolutely,
and get the update of you fully funded and reach all your goals and launch. Like, we love to be walking side by you, like with that.
I love it. I'll definitely keep you guys abreast.
Yes, please do.
Yes.
Do you want to leave us with anything else? You want to give a pitch to any potential investors that might watch this?
Yes, yeah, sure, man. Come invest in GLID. We are the future of transportation. We are the future of automation with humans in the loop. Right now we're raising $2 million, and if you want to be on board, reach out to me. Check us out on gliderail.com, or you can reach me at Kevin at glidetech.us, or check out me on LinkedIn. Thank you.
Awesome. Jared, you got anything you want to end with?
No, again, Kevin, thanks for coming on here. A wealth of knowledge that came from you. I definitely learned something new today.
A lot.
So so thanks again for taking the time. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. Take care, guys.
We look forward to having you back on.
Yeah, me too.
All right, Kevin.
Welcome to the Business After Hours, where the ties loosen, the suit relax, and we talk business without the boardroom. Grab your favorite drink, kick back, and let's dive into the world of business after hours.